it's Nicola, and this is Easton. He was born November 26, 2011 at 5:15 p.m. in my home. It was a planned home birth, and it was an amazing experience, and I'm going to talk about that in another video. But right now I'm just going to talk about just kind of my postpartum recovery, the first couple weeks. Just going to look at my notes. When I had him, I had 3 superficial first-degree tears, and I got stitched up. They didn't really know how many stitches. It was a lot, but the good thing was, because I didn't have any pain meds, it was already kind of numb down there from the pushing, and she kind of gave me some lidocaine, shots with lidocaine, and I didn't feel a thing. And yeah, I've had a lot of friends who've told me, oh my gosh, it's like the worst part. And I mentioned that to my midwife, why it is the worst part to so many people. And they say because they tend to wait a long time after the numbing effect of the baby coming through, that it kind of wears off. And so they feel all that, they feel it a lot more. I didn't feel a thing. So I was so glad that she did it right away. And I was thinking, so when are you going to take the stitches out? And she's like, oh, I wouldn't do that to you, and they're dissolvable stitches. So that was good. I didn't know that, but so I was happy about that. Because of all the tearing down there, I used the Peri bottle, which felt really good, and I also had maxi pads with witch hazel that was poured into the maxi pad and frozen in the freezer. So every time I pretty much went to the bathroom afterwards, I put the cold pad down there, and it was like, oh, it was awesome. It was such a relief, and it was so much better than the Tux pads. The Tux pads didn't last as long, so it was really great. But I did those pretty religiously for 2 weeks, and I ended up itching so bad down there. And I was thinking, oh, it's probably just the healing process down there, but really it was the irritation from the pads. And I've heard that Always brand pads can cause more itchiness, and you should do the Carefree. Well, I had Always, and I didn't know that at the time, and called my midwife, and she said to let myself air out a little bit, and the itchiness is still a little bit there, but not nearly where it was. So I was glad that went down. I didn't really have any blood clots or anything down there, just consistent bleeding that sort of dissipate more and more over time, but it's still there. Okay, so breastfeeding, she latched on right away within like 5 minutes of being born. We got him latched on. He did really good. It wasn't the most comfortable. I was focusing on the phalange lips, but he still had somewhat of a shallow latch that caused my nipple to kind of shape like a lipstick. And I ended up having some cracked and bleeding nipples within a couple days. I had a lactation consultant come over. We weighed him, and he did really good. And we got the latch fixed a little bit better, but he's still somewhat shallow. He just doesn't want to open his mouth up as big. But he doesn't have any tongue tied or anything. Like, he's fully capable of having an awesome latch. So we're just still kind of working with that. I'm not pumping at all. I'm just exclusively breastfeeding. It caused me to be a little emotional, especially at nighttime when I'm so sleep deprived, because he pretty much wakes up 2 to 3 hours at a, every 2 to 3 hours, sometimes every hour, usually every 2 to 3 hours. And then during the day, it was like all he would want to do is just eat, and it was just, I felt like my nipples were about to fall off. I called the lactation consultant, and she said it was normal, and I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, how much more can I literally breastfeed, like, non-stop? I mean, I feel like he was just constantly cluster feeding, and made me feel like my supply wasn't good. So she said, well, why don't you go test, get the pump out and try it out at a time. She's like, don't expect a lot, maybe expect about 1/4 ounce. So I was like, okay. So I did it, and I got 1 ounce out of each breast, which I was really excited about. So I knew he was getting enough food, and his weight gain was going really great. He actually gained, so he was 7 pounds 2 ounces when he was born, and he was also, when we went into the doctor the third day, well, we had to see them. He was born on Saturday. We didn't go until Monday. By Monday, so 2 days, he was 6 pounds 7 ounces. So he did lose more than 10%, but the pediatrician didn't seem to be concerned about it at all, which I was so glad. And he was just like, if anybody tells you need anything but breast milk, you don't need to do rice cereal, you don't need to supplement, you know, just stick with the breast milk. It's the best thing. So I was just so glad that he wasn't worried, because I was a little bit. And by the time he got his 5-day visit, he was already back up to 7 pounds 14 ounces. So he had really started to gain weight quickly. And then by his 2-week visit, am I right? I don't remember. So it was his 2-day visit, 6.7 ounces. It was his 2-week visit that he was 7 pounds 14 ounces, right? I'm gonna look this up, because I'm like, I can't remember. So he's been gaining weight really, really great. Okay, so he was 6 pounds 14 ounces at his 5-day checkup, and then his 2-week checkup he was 7 pounds 14 ounces, and yeah, so that was really exciting. He's really gaining weight great. He lost his umbilical cord on day 4. He lost his Plastibell for his circumcision on day 4. I mean, he's a really fast healer. So it was really exciting, because that umbilical cord, it stunk. I mean, it was so gross. I felt so disgusted. It was just gross. But I was so glad it fell off so early, and it fell off the day that we had our newborn pictures. So I was so excited about that. So I was on this like huge oxytocin high for like 3 days, and it was just like, I was like on cloud 9. I don't know how to say it, but it was like I was on this drunk high of hormones that I was just so like chill. I didn't really care. I mean, the room was a disaster. Like, things needed to be cleaned up so bad, and it was just like nothing was really getting done, and I didn't really care. And you know, it was good. And so my husband, on the other hand, was a little stressed out for the first few days, and he was just so amazed about how calm I was, because I'm usually the one who's freaking out. So I was really glad that I wasn't like freaking out, and it was just an awesome feeling. Like, I wish I could have that all the time. Okay, so with regards to like my pelvis, I felt very sore down there for a while, to the point where I couldn't really lift my legs up because it hurt in my pelvis and my back. I had a lot of back labor, which I'm going to talk about in my labor and delivery video, and the back labor was just like horrific. And I don't want to say horrific, but it really just made it so much worse. But I was so glad I had everybody to help me get through it. And I think the back labor was really from an injury that I probably sustained at work, just from bending over and doing probably more than I should have towards the end of my pregnancy. So I needed help to get out of bed for like the first 2 or 3 days, just, you know, slowly walking to the bathroom and back. But it's okay. So then the first week, weight-wise, so my pre-pregnancy weight was 124. By the time I had him, which was 39 weeks and 6 days, day before his due date, I was 153 pounds. By the first week, I went down to 142, which I was kind of shocked. I'm like, okay, like I was like, he's already 7 pounds. Like, I had more than 2 pounds that was inside of me with everything else. But I did have to have some IV fluids that was given to me at the house, which I still had a lot of water weight that I needed to lose. And then by 2 weeks, I was 134 pounds. So I have about 10 pounds to go. I'm hoping the breastfeeding will help take it off, because I'm planning on breastfeeding until I go back to work, which will be the beginning of February or so. And I'm only planning on going back 2 days, 3 days a week. So Got that. When I had the newborn pics done, I don't know if I just said this, my mind's a little out of it, but when I had the newborn pics done, I was so like upset because I wanted those nice calm baby pictures and he just wasn't having it. He was just, you know, he wanted to continually be fed. He just wasn't, you know, zonking out like I was anticipating him to. So I think next time around I'm going to make sure that I have her come by either the day after or 2 days after I have him, because she came on Wednesday and I had him on Saturday. So I think it was just that period of time when they're really sleeping a lot kind of left for him anyways. Sleeping arrangements, what we have him in is a snuggle nest. We've been doing that for the past 2 weeks. We're getting ready to transition him to the Arms Reach co-sleeper, which is next to me in the bed, and then we'll go to the crib a little bit later. It's been going good. And my husband we're very, very fortunate. You're probably going to think this is crazy, but my husband has paternity leave because he's a pastor at a church. They really support families, and it's really been great because I've had him here. He still goes and preaches on Sundays, but what's really great is that he is able to help me, and I'm just so grateful for that. Yeah, so trying to think if there's anything else. So I'm going to talk more about in another video about labor and delivery, and more of like another updates down the road. So I'm very, very thankful that I was able to have him at home, because he was breech 18 weeks on to 36 weeks, and I was going cuckoo thinking I needed to find an OB, the only OB in Florida, to deliver him vaginally. And I was just so thankful that when I saw the ultrasound, he was head down at 36 weeks, and it just meant the world to me because I wanted this home birth so bad. I've done so much research and so much investment into it, and I'm just so thankful it worked out. So anyways, I will show Easton later. He's kind of all tucked in here really nicely. So anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.